Thank you, sir. Question number 4. Tricky question here. We have to understand what is being said before we can think of an answer choice. Some scientists have suggested that mammals in the Mesozoic era were not very blank group. Now, notice right here the shift or the change or the 180 change, right? But this is really, really important. Paleontologist Ji Lu research suggests that early animals living in the shadow of dinosaurs weren't all ground-dwelling insectivores. Fossils of various plant-eating mammals have been found, which Lu says could glide like a flying squirrel. What is he telling us in idea number 1? Well, I don't know, but in idea number 2, it shows us a contrast to idea number 1 and tells us, well, all of them weren't insectivores, but all of them were not insectivores. They were another type. So let's check these answers. Predatory. Well, I mean, people told me answer A. And an insectivore is a dinosaur that eats bugs, right? So we can assume that they are predatory, that they hunt, because this indicates hunting something or something of the sort. So they were not all very predatory group or predatory group. They all didn't hunt. But then in the next sentence, it tells us they were insectivores, or they all weren't insectivores. There were other things. So I don't like answer A. Obscure means something like unclear, right? So there's no support to show the opposite of that. And why do we look for the opposite? Because of but, right? So idea number 1 has to contrast with idea number 2. What about diverse? Well, does this contrast? If we put diverse in idea number 1, does it contrast with idea number 2? Well, I would think so. And why would we think so? Well, in idea number 1, some scientists have suggested, let me remove all of these notes, right? Some scientists have suggested that mammals in the Mesozoic area were not very diverse, but according to ZG, they weren't all ground-dwelling insectivores. There were other types. So here we can say answer C. And why do we like answer C? Because in idea number 1, they believed that they were not diverse. But then idea number 2, it's a contrast, but there were other types. So they were diverse. I like answer C. And D means localized, which means adapted for their areas. I don't like answer D. Tricky question in question number 5. Thank you, Mrs. Farida. Here, when you read through the paragraph, it's that last part that helps us identify what we need. Lucino L.S. Bannock, beadwork artist and designer Jamie Okuma challenges this view. Right? This is really important. This view. And what is this view? This view refers to the first part here. Okay. Critics have asserted that fine art and fashion rarely blank. And so Jamie Okuma challenged this view. How did Jamie Okuma challenge this view? Well, her work can be seen in the Metropolitan Museum of Art and purchased through online boutique. Okay, so let's go back to the first part. So it's telling us that fashion, art, and fashion rarely blank in a world where artists create timeless works for exhibition and designers periodically produce new styles. So art and fashion don't mix, right? Generally speaking, art and fashion don't mix. That's what's being said here. But then Jamie challenges this view. And what does Jamie do? Jamie sells his art in online boutiques and also displays his art in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So prevail means to win. So what are we prevailing over? No. Succumb is the opposite of prevail, means to give up. And again, no. Diverge means to split. But if we say they split, which works in idea number one, but only in idea number one, right? So here, they rarely, split or diverge. Well, in the next part, right, artists create timeless works while fashionists produce new styles. So there's a contrast here. So we wouldn't say they diverge. They usually diverge. What they rarely do is intersect. And what is an intersection? It means to cross one another or mix with one another. Question number 6. The author's claims about the relationship between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens is blank, as it fails to account for several recent archaeological discoveries. To be convincing, his argument would need to address recent finds of additional hominid fossils, such as the latest Denisovan specimens and Homo longi. Well, what is the author saying here, right? Well, it tells us that it fails to account for something. So these claims can be, unsupported. For example, this is one of the words we might think of, right? Or without evidence. And so disorienting, well, what does this mean? It means confusion, right? Dis means not, orienting means focused. I don't like disorienting because it's not really confused right now. What we're saying in the next sentence is that these claims fail to account for something. These claims are unsupported or unsubstantiated. So I like answer B, tenuous, and tenuous means something like insubstantial. It means something like, I would say, slight. It means something like weak, flimsy, like Min is telling me. So I like this word. Nuanced means something related to greater detail, meaning don't take it superficially, take it at a greater level of detail. And unoriginal, well, again, there's nothing to support this. We don't go by what sounds correct in the sentence. We go by what support do we have for an answer. So we say answer B. Resume recording. Welcome back. Question 7. The province of, you see this long name? I wouldn't even read it. I would just read it as X. But I'll say it anyway. I guess it's Zoko no Chico. Zonoko Chico. Cool name. I like Aztec culture or Aztec history. Was situated on the Pacific coast, hundreds of kilometers southwest from Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. Because X location within the empire was so blank, cacao and other things would only reach there after a very long overland journey. So it's telling us here, or it's giving us after the comma, an example of the word that we need. It needs to fit something related to a long journey, right? The city was somewhere and it took a long time to go from one city to city of X. It took a while. So the unobtrusive means something like not blocked or easy, but we don't have proof for this. So this is no. Be concealed. Now, many students will think, well, because it was concealed, it will take a long time over land to travel, and that's necessarily not true. Because concealed means something that is hidden, something that is covered. So it doesn't fit context. Number one, why? Because if it's hidden, how would they find it? Number two, it doesn't fit the context of a long overland journey. What we want to say is that this city was so far away. That's what we want. That's the word we're looking for. And remember, we should look for the meaning, or we should create a word before we check our answer choices. So concealed doesn't fit a long journey. All because something is concealed doesn't mean it's a long journey. And approximate means precise, but again, what are we approximating? It's peripheral. And what is the meaning of peripheral? It comes from the word periphery, which means what? On the edge. So what they're telling us now, or what the paragraph is saying with our answer choice, imagine this big square is the Aztec Empire, right? So to go, it was X was hundreds of kilometers southwest of Tino, da da da. So this is the T city, this is the X city. The T city is like somewhere in the center. So it's the X city is on the edge of the empire. It's so far away that's on the edge. And this fits the context of a long journey. Because imagine, for example, you're in, I don't know, let's say Egypt, right? And to go from Cairo to Alex, right? Alex is far away because it's at the edge of the country. This is one example. So answer D fits the discussion. Ophelia Zepeda contributions to the field of linguistics are blank. Her many accomplishments, ring-a-ding-ding. So would we describe it as pragmatic, controversial, extensive, or universal? Pragmatic means something that can be done, it's practical. Controversial means something that stirs up a debate or controversy or problem. Extensive means many, or like Mr. Min tells me, variety. And universal means everywhere. Oh, ring-a-ding-ding. She did all of these things. Her many accomplishments are extensive. Very good job, guys.